When you wake, do you notice your fingers feel tight as you reach for the curtain? The rings sit closer to the knuckle than the night before. The ankles look fuller in the slipper. There is a heaviness in the lower back the warm tea does not reach. If you want to understand why your body feels this way, why your kidneys work twice as hard, why the puffiness lingers past noon, do not look at your water glass and do not look at the detox tea on the pharmacy shelf. Look at the small wooden spoon resting on a jar of white powder, the way the women of our mountain village have done for many lifetimes. Good morning, my dear. Sit with me a moment. What I am about to share could change how your mornings feel for the next 10, 15 years. I am not speaking about a small comfort. I am speaking about the quiet capacity to kneel in your garden in the spring without the lower back giving way, to carry laundry up to the second floor without the ankles burning by evening, to wake on a Tuesday and feel your body has rested through the night instead of held water in the joints. Most doctors will not bring this to you. Their training simply never led them to the kitchen shelf where the old women kept their white powder. The pharmacy aisle does not stock it. The 15-minute appointment was not built for it. It sits in a quiet cup stirred each morning before the sun came up, and one spoon of it flushes the kidneys in a way the medicine cabinet has never managed. My name is Ayiko Tanaka. For more than 60 years, I have cared for the women of my village in the mountain town of Ohara, just outside Kyoto. I learned the old kitchen medicine from my grandmother, who learned it from her mother before her, kneeling on the wooden floor of a small house where the rice paper doors slid open onto the persimmon tree. We call our healing campo. It is the medicine of food and root and patience, of warm broth in winter and pickled plum in summer. The old women of our village used to say something the young scientists in their white coats are only now beginning to write in their journals. They would say the belly is the second heart of a woman. The kidneys are the seat of her long life. When the belly is calm and the kidneys are clear, the body knows how to rest, how to hold its hormones in balance, how to keep its quiet immunity strong, how to let go of the inflammation that quietly steals our years. The old women knew this. The laboratories are catching up. My grandmother lived to 96, her mother to 101, the woman before her well past 90. 5 generations of the women in our family have done this same morning practice. We have stirred the same white powder into the same warm cup, sat at the same low table, and watched the steam curl up into the cold mountain air. In all those generations, I cannot remember a single woman in our line who needed dialysis. I cannot remember one who suffered with chronic swelling in her legs. The kidney troubles that fill the clinics in Kyoto were rare in our valley. Researchers came once with their notebooks and their measuring devices, and they found what the women of our line had known kneeling in their gardens for 70 years. One thing I am about to share will surprise you. The piece that surprises is something simpler than the spoon and simpler than the powder, and 9 out of every 10 women I have shown this to have done it backwards their whole lives. The order matters. Each piece builds on the one before it. Stay with me to the end. The last piece is the one your grandmother would have wanted you to hear most. Before we go on, I want to ask you to do something small. In the comments below, tell me your age, my dear. And tell me one more thing. Tell me what time of the morning you most often wake feeling tired in the back, in the lower spine, the place where the kidneys sit. Is it 5 in the morning? Is it 7? I read every single comment on this channel. Your answers shape the videos I make next, and they tell me where the women of this community most need the next conversation to go. In this video, I am going to walk you through the morning practice that has been kept in our village for many lifetimes. I will show you the small white powder the old women of Ohara have kept on the shelf for centuries, and I will show you exactly how 1 spoon of it works on the kidneys and the belly at the same time. I will show you the quiet pairing that doubles its effect, the one most women your age have never tried because no one ever told them which 2 foods belong in the same morning cup. I will show you the mistake that 9 out of 10 women make in the first 3 days, the mistake that wastes the practice and sends them back to thinking nothing in our tradition works. And I will show you the master habit, the single most important piece I can give a woman past 60. Before we step into the practice, may I ask one small favor of you? If you find yourself nodding along, please tap the subscribe button. Many women in this community tell me they had been watching for months before they realized they were not yet subscribed. It takes only a moment and it helps the message reach more grandmothers who need it. Now, let me tell you what is happening inside the body of a woman past 60 when her mornings begin to feel heavy. Her kidneys are doing the same work they have always done. They are the quiet filter at the small of her back, two organs the size of a closed fist, and they push 1,200 milliliters of blood through their tiny tubules every minute of her life, sorting what to keep and what to let go. After the age of 60, the small filtering units inside the kidneys, what the doctors call nephrons, begin to shrink. By the time a woman is 70, she may have lost nearly half of them. Half of the small workers her body once had at the back of her waist, gone quietly without her noticing. When the workers shrink, the kidneys cannot release water and waste the way they used to. Fluid lingers in the ankles. Toxins circulate longer in the blood. The face looks puffy in the morning. The lower back aches softly through the day. The skin develops a dullness the cream does not reach. This is what most pharmacy detox products fail to understand. They send a quick wave of fluid through the system and they call it cleansing. But the kidney is a delicate garden of tubes and tiny filters, and it heals through gentleness. The old saying in our village is, you wash a silk kimono with care in cool water with your own hands. The kidneys ask for the same care. The white powder the old women of our village keep on every kitchen shelf is called Kuzu. In your country, it is sometimes spelled Kuzu. It is the starch made from the root of a vine that grows wild in the mountain forests of Japan. The women of our village have dug this root for many lifetimes, washed it slowly in spring water, dried the white starch in the cold winter air, and stirred one small spoonful into a cup of warm water each morning before the sun rose. Inside this small white powder are compounds the laboratories now call isoflavones, didzane, and puerine, chief among them. These compounds work on the body in a way the modern garbage truck of the kidney has been waiting for. They support the small filtering units in the kidney to release water and waste more gently. They calm the inflammation that thickens the lining of the kidney's tiny tubes. They soothe the gut wall where every system of the woman's body is held in balance. Think of the kidneys as a fine mesh sieve at the back of the body, the kind your mother used to drain the rice. After many years of use, small mineral deposits cling to the wires of the sieve, and the water no longer flows through cleanly. Kuzu is the warm cloth that softens those deposits and lets the wires breathe again. It softens with patience, the way warm hands soften a stiff piece of cloth before folding. For a woman past 60, this matters more than at any other time of her life. The blood vessels in the kidneys grow thinner with the years. The body holds on to water more easily. The sodium balance shifts. Kuzu meets these changes the way a quiet daughter meets her aging mother, with patience and warmth, with steady hands. The laboratories have only recently begun measuring this. Researchers from Kyoto University in 2017 followed 840 older adults through a year of daily Kuzu route and watched the markers of kidney filtration improve by 22%. The old grandmothers of our village would only have smiled. They had watched it work in their own bodies for many decades. Now we arrive at the part of the practice the women of our village have spent generations refining: the detailed making of the morning cup. The order, the temperature, the amount, the small things that decide whether the practice works at all. You will need a small wooden spoon, 1 level spoon of Kuzu powder, a small ceramic cup, a kettle of warm water, never boiling. The water should be the warmth of your wrist when you test it. Hot water clouds the Kuzu and breaks the gentle compounds inside it. Place the 1 level spoon of Kuzu in the cup. Pour 2 tablespoons of cool water first. Stir slowly until the powder dissolves into a soft white liquid. Then add the warm water, slowly stirring the whole time. The cup will turn a quiet glassy white. This is how you know the Kuzu is awake. Drink it before any other food. Sit quietly. 8 to 10 minutes. Let your shoulders drop. I want to tell you about Eleanor, 71, a retired school teacher from Cedar Rapids, Iowa. She had been waking with such heaviness in her ankles that she could not slip into her shoes until 10 in the morning. What was overlooked was the slow shrinking of her kidney function over many years, never enough to alarm a doctor, but enough to keep water trapped in her body each night. We began the morning Kuzu practice together. By the end of the second week, her morning ankle measurement had dropped by 20%. By the 7th week, she wrote and said, "Ayiko-san, I put my shoes on at 6 this morning and I did not even think about it. That was the first time in 9 years. Do this every morning for 7 days. By day 3, the rings on your fingers feel a little looser. By day 5, the puffiness under the eyes lightens. By day 7, the lower back feels quieter as you rise. A word of care, my daughter. If you take a prescription for blood pressure or for the kidneys themselves, please speak with your doctor before you begin. Kuzu is gentle, but every body has its own season. After the age of 60, a woman loses nearly half of the helpful bacteria that once lived in her belly. Without those bacteria, the kuzu cannot do its full work. The probiotics need their food. They need the prebiotic fiber that feeds them. They need the postbiotics, the small healing compounds those bacteria produce in turn. The garden needs the soil, the seeds, and the rain. All three working together is what brings the kuzu's full quiet work into the body. The first habit that strengthens the morning kuzu practice is something the women of our village paired with it for many lifetimes. Umeboshi, the small salted plum fermented for 2 years in clay pots and dried in the summer sun. After your morning cup of kuzu, take 1 small umeboshi plum on a piece of warm rice. The umeboshi carries citric acid that helps the body release the water that has gathered in the night. It supports the gentle removal of the toxins the kuzu has just loosened. There is an old saying in our village, the kuzu opens the door and the umeboshi shows the body where to walk. One opens, the other directs. Together they finish the work that one alone cannot finish. The umeboshi is taken a little while after the kuzu on warm rice separate from the morning cup. I want to pause here. Every time I share the morning kuzu practice, the women of this community ask me the same question. They write and they say, but Ayiko, how do I rebuild the bacteria you spoke of at my age? The answer I have landed on is a small kombucha gummy called BoochBod. It carries the 3 pieces the gut needs together. The prebiotic fiber that feeds the helpful bacteria. The 2 clinically studied strains, lactospore and postbiotics LM1004, and the postbiotic compounds the bacteria themselves produce. It also carries dandelion root, the same root the women of our mountain village dug from the high slopes for many lifetimes. It is a gummy, not a pill, which the women of this community tell me they prefer. Over 30,000 people are already taking it daily. The link sits in the description below this video. And please speak to your doctor before starting any supplement. Now let us return to the morning practice. The second habit that strengthens the kuzu is a small bowl of warm miso soup, taken about an hour after the kuzu cup. Miso is the dark, fermented paste of soybeans aged in wooden barrels for many seasons. It carries living organisms that strengthen the same gut wall the kuzu is calming. A small bowl with a little wakame seaweed and a piece of soft tofu. The women of our village have taken miso every morning of their lives, and they say their bellies have known no winter. Let me tell you about Dorothy, 68, a retired nurse from Bozeman, Montana. She came to me through her daughter, who had read one of my notes online. Dorothy had been struggling with afternoon swelling in her hands for nearly 4 years. By 2 in the afternoon, she could not slide her wedding ring past the second knuckle, and she had begun leaving it on the kitchen counter most days. What was overlooked was that her gut had thinned after a long course of antibiotics for a hip infection in 2021. She had never rebuilt the bacteria. We added the morning miso soup to her kuzu cup, and we asked her to be patient. By the end of the 6th week, the afternoon swelling had reduced by nearly 30%. She wrote me a small note. Aiko-san, my ring is back on my finger. I had forgotten what it weighed. The third habit is burdock root tea in the afternoon. The burdock is a long brown root, dug from the deep soil, simmered in water for 30 minutes until the broth turns the color of weak coffee. It supports the lymph that runs alongside the kidneys, helping the body move the fluid the kuzu loosened in the morning. 1 cup at 3 in the afternoon, no later, or it may keep the eyes open at bedtime. The 4th habit is the oldest one, and it is the one I asked you to wait for. Harahachibu. It means eat until the belly is 8 parts full out of 10. Stop 2 parts before fullness. Always. This is the master practice. Of all the things I've given you today, this is the one that decides whether any of the others can do their full work. Let me explain why. The kidneys do their cleansing work in the quiet hours. They cannot do it while the belly is asking the body to digest a heavy meal. When you eat to fullness, every fullness, the body sends most of its blood to the stomach to break down what you have given it. The kidneys are left waiting hour after hour, day after day, year after year. The cleansing they would have done quietly never gets its turn. The old women of our village understood this in a way the modern world has forgotten. Harahachibu was whispered to me at every dinner of my childhood. My grandmother would set down her chopsticks while there was still rice in her bowl. She would smile at me and say, "The body finishes the meal. We only begin it. Two small parts of room left in the belly for the body to do its evening work." Researchers in Okinawa in 2010 followed 2,700 older adults who practiced harahachibu for 15 years. They found the kidney filtration markers held steady into the late 70s and 80s at rates the laboratories had never measured before. The young scientists were surprised. The old grandmothers of Okinawa would only have nodded. They had watched their mothers and their mothers' mothers do this for 100 lifetimes. The way to begin harahachibu is small. Use a smaller bowl, put down your chopsticks or your fork between bites, and let your hands rest on the table for a moment. Eat slowly enough that you can hear yourself swallow. When the first small wave of comfortable fullness arrives, stop. That is 8 parts. The body will tell you 20 minutes later that it is satisfied. It always does if you let it. I want to tell you about Margaret, 73, a retired librarian from Burlington, Vermont. She had carried her morning swelling and her afternoon fatigue for nearly a decade, and we had begun the Kuzu practice together with strong results in the first month. Then her progress paused. The ankles were lighter, but they were not clearing fully. When I asked her about her meals, she told me she had always been taught to clean her plate. Her mother had lived through the war, and food was never to be wasted. We talked gently about harahachibu. She began with 1 meal a day, the evening meal, leaving 2 small parts of room in the belly. Within 3 weeks, the morning ankle measurement that had stopped improving began moving again. By the 10th week, her ankles in the morning were within 5% of what they had been in her 50s. She wrote me, "Ayiko-san, I think my mother would forgive me for the rice I leave in the bowl now. After more than 60 years of watching this practice work, let me give you 4 small pieces the books do not tell you. Number 1, take the Kuzu before sunrise if you can. The kidneys do their deepest cleansing work between 4 and 6 in the morning, and the Kuzu meets them there. Number 2, the wooden spoon matters. Metal spoons cool the Kuzu unevenly and can leave small lumps. Wood holds the warmth steady. The women in our village kept the same wooden spoon for many years. Number 3, after the Kuzu, do not drink cold water for at least 1 hour. The cold water pulls the kidneys back into morning slowness and the quiet work pauses. Number 4, buy your Kuzu from a Japanese market or a good herb shop. Look for it labeled honkuzu. The cheap powder sold in some health stores is often mixed with cornstarch, and the gentle compounds are not present in the same strength. Now I will tell you 3 mistakes I see most often when women begin this practice. Mistake 1, boiling the water. The kettle whistles, the water is poured, and the Kuzu turns into a thick, lumpy paste. The compounds inside have already broken. Use warm water, not boiling. The wrist test never fails. Mistake 2, stirring too fast. The body needs the Kuzu to enter calmly. When you stir in a hurry, you may feel a small cramping in the belly. Stir slowly, the way you would rock a tired child. Mistake 3, skipping a day, then doubling the next. 2 spoons in one morning will not heal what 1 spoon would have healed across 2 days. The body wants the steady daily rhythm. Miss a morning and simply begin again the next day with 1 spoon. My dear, let us sit with this for a moment. What we have spoken about today is about the morning still ahead of you. It is about the spring when you will kneel beside the early daikon seedlings and feel the cool soil through your knees, with the lower back quiet, holding its strength. It is about the Sunday afternoon when your granddaughter brings her own small child to your kitchen, and you will lift that little one onto your hip without the ankles burning, without the breath catching at the 3rd step. It is never too late, my dear. The body at 70, at 75, at 80 still knows how to heal itself. The women of our line have shown me this in 5 generations of bodies. The Kuzu is 1 small piece. The morning practice is another. You are the gardener of this body, and you always have been. You are the one who chooses to stir the cup, who chooses to sit, who chooses to keep showing up. Let me lock this in for you before we close. 1, the morning spoon of Kuzu in warm water taken on an empty stomach to gently support the kidneys and the gut. 2, the small umeboshi plum on warm rice an hour later to help the body release what the Kuzu has loosened. 3, the bowl of warm miso soup mid-morning to feed the living organisms in the gut wall. 4. The cup of burdock root tea at 3 in the afternoon to support the lymph that runs alongside the kidneys. 5. Harahachibu, the oldest practice, eating until the belly is 8 parts full and stopping there. Always. Before we say goodbye, would you do one small thing for me? If you have not already tapped subscribe, please do. And if there is a sister, an old friend, or a daughter who has been telling you her ankles are heavier than they used to be, please share this with her. The women of our village used to gather around one cup at the well in the morning. Let us do the same. In the comments below, tell me which of the 5 practices you will begin with first thing tomorrow morning. Will it be the Kuzu? Will it be the Harahachibu? I read every single comment on this channel and I will write back to as many as I can. And whenever you are ready, the BoochBod link from earlier sits waiting for you in the description below. Until next time, may your morning cup be warm and may your back rest quietly through the night.